God bless you this afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to our program that we call Coming Home. And I trust that you would enjoy the program. And if you ever wondered if God could take somebody's life that was a town drunk and didn't have an education and never really thought maybe the world didn't think would amount to much, and change it and send them all over the world and deliver them from alcohol, well, today you're going to find out for true that story is true. And brother, we have today with us someone I call almost like a second father to me, Brother Joe Canales, and been in my life for a long time. And thank you for joining us today. And today you're going to share a little bit of your story. And why don't we start with, I guess, maybe your childhood and kind of how, I know you had some difficulties early on in life, but why don't you tell me a little bit about growing up in Texas and how that was?
When I started, in life, I was about 5 years old when my father died. So from there, we went, and then my brother died when I was 17. He died in a car wreck. And then I had only my mother left because it was just me and my brother. And me and my mother, I would always talk to her, and I said, what's going to happen if you died? What am I going to be by myself? I couldn't understand why they were dying on me. So.
But you said growing up you're a pretty good child, though. You didn't really get in too much trouble. And
because when I was 17 and below, I wasn't a drinker or a smoker or nothing like that. But when my brother died, his friends, he had a bunch of friends, they picked me up and started taking me out with them. And they started giving me beer and started doing all these deals for me. And I just, I guess all my family comes from that, from drinking. So I picked up on it right quick. And from there, I just started drinking, and I guess everybody thought I was 21 when I was like 18 or 19 years old. So the bar owners, I go anywhere and drink, and
drink a lot.
I even had the liquor control sit by me asking ID from the guy next to me, but they never asked me. At 21, I was working for Pepsi in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I decided I wanted to go run the bar, because I could get my license now. So I quit Pepsi and I went to work there. I went and took the bar over and got my license, my liquor license and all that. But then in that little town where I come from, everybody's your friend. You see, I tell my wife sometimes, I say, I knew everybody here. A white person or a Mexican person, I knew everybody even by names. It was just like a 3,000 population.
So from there, I guess you got out of the bar business, but you kept drinking and
yeah, I kept. Then it was just part of me drinking. I would drink. I worked in different jobs there in Fremont construction, and I always had work because I always liked to have money. Not to have a lot of money, but to have money. And I always worked. I don't care what it was. If it was a dishwasher, I'd be a dishwasher. But I usually worked in the oil fields. Okay. Then I got married in April, and my mother died in December, So it was getting real close for me. I would have been left by myself. Mm-hmm. I don't know what road I would have taken, but.
So, and then in 1975, you moved from...
Yeah, in 1975, from Fremont to Toppenish, Washington. I came on the bus. I told my wife, I'm going to go over there. My father-in-law told me about his boss, and I called his boss over here and asked him if he'd give me a job. He says, yeah. So I got on that Greyhound bus and left on a Saturday. And I had my daughter, one daughter, and she was a little baby, just a tiny little gal when I left her. But I came to Toppenish, and I started working there in a farm. They're farms here. Yeah, they're farm. And right before that, I was working with UNI. I got a job from that farm into the UNI Sugar Company that was in a plant where they made sugar. It was there in Toppenish, and I got a job with them. And then I got out working outside, then I jumped into the plant. And I was working, then I become what they call a spinner operator. And right there I heard an old man that used to wash the bottom where the sugar falls on the cement so it won't harden up. They're always pouring hot water. And I said, I sat next to him, and he told me, you know, I heard a rumor that they're going to close this plant. And I said, wow, they're going to close it? He said, yeah. They said they made $1 million this year, but they had to make $2 million the following year, but they couldn't, so they were going to close it. So then I had already applied in Hanford, the Hanford area, you know, with Battelle Northwest, and I had an application in there. So one day, me and my wife, and I had Lori, and I had a boy then too, which is Joe, you know, and we were driving to Yakima, and on my way to Yakima, right when I got to Wapato, out of Wapato, a voice called me just from the sky, out of the blue. You know, not even, I'm the only one that heard it. It talked to me, and he said, stop. You know, so I stopped, I pulled the car, and he told me, go back to Richland. You know, it's about 80 miles from where I was. He said, go check on your application. You know, so I said, well, I turned and looked at Carlotta. I said, we're going to Richland. I gotta go check on my application on that job. So when I turned around, came back, drove, and I got to Richland. I went over there to where the company was. And I went to the lady and I said, I want to see where am I at on the application. So she picked it out, she found it. And by the time I left that office, she told me, you got the job. You know, I said, wow. And then at that same moment, they told me, because I was only going in for a trial base on 90 days, they told me, well, this boy quit. So I become a regular employee almost before I got into the company. It took me, to, you know, as a serviceman, I went in as a serviceman, moving furniture, all kinds of stuff. And so then I come in and I got the job, and there was 2 other guys that were hired with me on that same time. But I think I beat them with like 1 hour. Because that was the first year. They always kept the 3 guys and found them jobs inside the company. Yeah. But that was the first year they were going to let them go and just keep 1. And I beat both of them, one of them by 1 hour and the other one more. Yeah. So then they hired me and they kept me, and they were laid off. So God gave you that job, and then I think you said he felt like he spoke to you again. And at this point, you're not religious at all. You're still drinking, just kind of living your life. I still was drinking because it just was a deal that I did. Yeah. I guess, you know, over there's nothing to do but sit in your porch and drink beer, wave at the people that go by. You know, it's a little town that everybody knows each other. But I'm over here in Washington, but doing the same thing. Yeah, doing the same thing. So then when God spoke to you again, you said? Yeah. While I was there, I went to a warehouse where I finished my years there, but I was going through that warehouse. God had already dealt with me, but I did not know it was God that told me to go get that check on that application, and they hired me and all that, you know, because, I mean, but not knowing nothing about God, you know. So I was walking through that warehouse, and I came up to the roll-up door where they delivered the packages, and that voice stopped me again. He said, stop, you know, so I stopped, and then he told me, go see that old man that's in that office there. He was talking to another man, you know, that worked there in the warehouse. Go to ask him and ask him what he said. So I said, okay. Then I started walking there, and I put my hands on the door, and I asked him, I said, what did you say, Wayne? His name was Wayne. He said, Jesus Christ is God. I said, Jesus Christ is God. So I just took it, so got away from there and left. And I went home and I asked Carlotta, I said, my wife, and I said, did you know that Jesus Christ is God? She said, yes. You know, I said, how come I didn't? I said, I thought, you know, Jesus was one and God was another, the Father and the Son, all this, I had it all mixed up in my head. I did not really understand none of that stuff. So so then a job came opening, an opening for a job came at the warehouse, but it was a good paying job, so everybody, if you had some kind of diploma, whatever from college or whatever, you were willing to take that job even though it wasn't what you wanted to do. So, and my English was way more poor than this, because I really never liked to speak English, but life forced me to, But anyway, so I go and I go talk to Wayne, I was the last one. It was the last day, and I think I was the last guy coming in. And I said, Wayne, I came to apply for this job. And so he said, come over here. So he started talking to me about this and that. And I said, no, okay. So I filled out the papers, the application there, and I signed it and left. So I came in on Friday night. They gave me a party at Battelle, and I got so drunk and then high and smoking pot, got real high. And I lived in Sunnyside, which was about 60 miles, I think, from Sunnyside over here. And then, so I was in Richland here, one of them bars, and I was there till 2 o'clock in the morning. So then I left, and I guess I was all over the road going home. And somebody reported me, and the highway patrol stopped me. But they stopped me in Sunnyside. And they made me walk the line, you can walk straight and all that. So I walked my deal. So they told me, if you go straight home, I was just about one more mile to get to my house. If you go home, says, we'll let you go. You're this far from going to jail. But if you go from here home, we'll let you go. I said, well, that's where I'm going. So they let me go. And so then, when I come back in Monday morning to my new job, I still didn't know how it was God dealing with me. I just thought it was deals happening in my life from day to day. So I went in, and I was in that office. My chair, my desk was there in that office, and Wayne was in that same office with me, and he had his desk facing the other way and all that. But when I went in there, I felt condemned, dirty. I said, what in the world? What is this? I could not understand it. So Wayne Worley gave me a couple of tapes that we hear about, about the Brother Branham. And so I took them home, and at my house, I go and threw myself on the floor there in the living room and put a tape recorder and started hearing them, and it got to my heart, I started hearing, the man of God. So that made me, start waking up a little. So then then Wayne put my name in church to pray for me on Wednesday nights and on Sundays and morning and Sunday night, and something just started stirring my heart. I said, well, what in the world is this? So I told Carlotta, I've got to go to this church. And I can't stand it no more. I don't know what's going on. I got to go check it out anyway, see what's happening. So I come to church on Wednesday night. I walked in, and something just poured at me, just grabbed me. And I said, well, this is different, So I came in, sat down. They had church. I think Brother John preached, and he was a powerful preacher. I never had heard preaching like that. I said, wow, it was good. To me, it was good. Yeah. I mean, everything I was hearing, it was good. I never had and even though I had no understanding or revelation or something, I didn't have it. But I could see the authority in the different things, when they preached the gospel. So then I had my third son get born. And we were there. We were coming already. I had started coming on Sunday mornings. You kind of slow come in, because you were coming,
Yeah.
just coming in.
So you got baptized there in
Yeah.
1980, you said, was it? So,
Yeah, in 1980 I got baptized, and they voted for me to be a deacon too.
So you're a deacon for 6 years there at the church, I
Yeah,
think you said.
about
and
6
so
years.
then so God changed your life, took away the drinking, took away everything from
Yeah.
1967 to 1980. I think you said you drank just about every day. And,
Yeah, and then from 1980, God took like the want to away, because I never thought of stopping, you know. He just took it from me.
Amen.
I stopped at the store to pick up a beer, a pop, and I went to the beer and got a beer. And I said, what in the world? So I went and put it back and got my pop. You see, my body was trained the other way,
yeah.
you know, so.
So then in about 1998, you said you went on your first overseas missionary trip, and tell me, I guess, a little bit as we finish up what it's like been since then, you know. And
Yeah, in 1998, I went to Peru, you know. Then I didn't tell you, I come from a town that's real poor, because I had never been out of Texas. I just had been to Mexico, but not because I live real close to the border. I had never traveled out or gone anywhere. Farthest I had gone up in Texas was San Antonio, I think. But then I went to Peru, and they picked me because they needed help as an interpreter. And well, I'm a Tex-Mex, what they call a Tex-Mex. So our Spanish is not 100% the same as the Spanish from Mexico. So I said, man, I don't know. I mean, a lot of my words are English, you know, talk Spanish, and then you put a word in English, and you go Spanish and put a word here. And you can tell a guy from Texas right quick, because when he starts talking to you, you know. So I started interpreting there, and we went all the time. We were there 2 weeks or 14 days. And then I went with a couple of brothers from the church. We flew from there to Colombia, and I interpreted there for 14 more days.
so you've been almost 20 years now of doing overseas missionary work and traveled all over the world, and you know.
Yeah. Then I started noticing, you know, that for being so poor, no school, no nothing, God had brought me in, showed me what He had done with me. You know, I can understand now God, you know, because of how He did it. Because I never looked for Him, He looked for me.
Amen. Well, we're happy that God changed your life so many years ago and been a great example here in the church. And we're going to have we're going to have his granddaughters come sing a song for us here. And he's got two twin granddaughters here, and God's blessed his life. And we thank you for sharing your story with us. I hope you got something from it, that how God can find you, and no matter what condition you are, and speak to your heart. And God knows where his children are, and he will find them. May God bless you today.
I know a man who can walk on water anytime, any place, anywhere. And I know a man who can calm the storm anytime, any place, anywhere. I know a man who can raise the dead anytime, any place, anywhere. I know a man who can open blind eyes anytime.